So in this video, I am going to talk about debt. And can it ever be a good thing?
Greetings! This infinite source truth is made possible by the generous contributions and support of viewers like you. Please consider making a contribution now. Thank you.
Now let's talk about someone who has a large amount of debt that they need to get out from under. If you have to set a budget, do it. If you have no self-control, which you should have, you choose to live with something longer than maybe you would normally choose to until your finances change. And 18 and 20% interest, that is terrible. Do you realize how much more you can have by staying out of debt because you're not paying those ridiculous prices? I mean, that thing that you were buying and you're going to pay 18, 20% interest on, how much is it costing you? I don't care if it's on sale. You've undone the sale because you put it on your credit card and you're going to incur interest. If you're not in debt, then you don't have the stress of that payment. You are free of that. And without the stress, you are physically healthier. Your mind is clearer. You feel great because you are not in debt. You are not borrowing. So, how do you get out of debt right now? Okay. Anything that you have bought that hasn't been used needs to go back. Needs to be returned. You need to examine, do you have a car payment? A car payment. Well, you bought a new car or you have a car lease, and is it really beneficial to you? Can you go and get a car that is good transportation? Now, it may not be the most beautiful car and it won't be brand new, but can you spend a couple $1,000s and get a used car instead of having that big payment every month for that shiny new car, except for it's not new anymore because the minute you drive it off the lot, it's used. And you've lost value in it already. Your house. Are you house poor? Because you have bought a house that has a huge mortgage and it is just eating away at you. I'm going to say houses are like balls and chains on your ankles, because you can never really own that house, because if you don't pay your taxes, it's taken away. If you don't pay your mortgage, well, it's not yours any longer. In this day and age, you are better off renting. It means that you can be mobile. It means that if somebody builds something next door to you or a neighbor moves in next door to you that you can't live with, you're not tied to that place. You can cut the lease and you can leave. Try to do that when you own a house. You have settled in, you have rooted yourself in, and there's no mobility there whatsoever. And to have a house with a large amount of money tied up into it is not very beneficial for a source player. That money is better off in a liquid state. Easily accessible state. And if you're house poor, then seriously, consider selling that house and moving. Downsizing. And again, I'm going to say a rent. You can rent houses. Houses are easy to find to rent. You don't have to live in an apartment complex. I actually would say that you're more beneficial if you are not in an apartment complex, but you need to ask your source self if it would be most beneficial to you. In some areas, that might be the most beneficial situation that you could be in. But again, you need to ask your source self if it will benefit you. It benefits source players the most to be minimalists. Yeah, I said that. But most source players have got too much stuff that really holds them down. And they're tied to all of that stuff. As a matter of fact, it probably bothers you right now for me to say this because you are so attached to all of that stuff. And if this is bothering you, that I'm even mentioning being somewhat of a minimalist and removing, the excess, then you have fallen into the trap. You have fallen into the material trap. And you need to recognize that those things are not who you are. They don't define you. And if anything, it's your ego that is holding tightly to those things that indicate status, position, wealth. This isn't to say that you can't have nice things and enjoy them, because you certainly can. But you shouldn't be in debt to have them. And you shouldn't think yourself better than anyone else because you do have them. And you shouldn't be so attached to them that if you lost them, that it would shake your life. This goes for relationships too. This goes for everything. You hold everything with an open hand. The minute you start closing your hand on something, you have, first of all, reduced the quantity that you can hold because you have no longer open. It can't pile up to overflowing. You have closed off the flow. You're holding on tightly. Nothing new can go in and nothing's getting out. So this is a case of stagnation. There has to be a flow that needs to be occurring in your life. And it means out with the old and in with the new.
Do you have anything to say to people that can well afford to pay off all their debts, but they choose not to? These are source players doing that. They can pay all the debts off easily. Yeah. They're wealthy enough. Yeah. They make enough money. Is there anything you want to say to them, or skip it?
No. Okay, for source players who have the ability to pay off all of their debts and can well afford it, but are choosing to still remain in debt, you need to ask your source self if it will benefit you to get out of the debt. Why are you paying the extra outrageous interest rates? What is the mindset behind that? Because the matrix has told you that it benefits you to be in debt? Really? That's something you're going to have to work through on your own. It's never beneficial for a source player to be in debt. Never. Because you like the feel of having extra money in the bank that's liquid. I mean, you have the ability to pay it off, but, you're not, because you like that liquidity, the feeling of liquidity. You can't say you own something. People run around and say, yeah, I got a new car, I own it. No, you don't own it. You're paying on it. You don't own it. I bought a new house. Did you buy it? No, you didn't. You don't own it. The bank owns it. The bank owns you. Do you get this? Now many of you are scoffing because it would change your total lifestyle. It would change everything. But you know what? I'm just telling you, and it's up to you what you do with it. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me at all because it doesn't affect me what you do. I'm telling you how to live your best life yet. Now, you can ignore it, or you can listen to your source self saying, yes, she's right. You know she's right. You know she's right. You need to get out of debt. It may not be comfortable at the moment to make the choices. You may have peer pressure because they're going to wonder, why are you selling your nice fancy house? Why are you selling your fancy car and going to a lesser car? You may have some people asking questions. Who are they? What does it matter what they think? This is your journey, and it needs to be to benefit you. It is always going to be something that you are going to have to deal with to really fully experience your best life yet. Because the freedom that you experience when you are out of debt cannot be experienced any other way. Debt is the simple fact that you are not living in this day. You are tapping into tomorrow's illusion for today's experiences. I can tell you that it will benefit you. You need to listen to your source self for guidance in this. If you've benefited from the videos and the information that I'm sharing on this channel, then consider being a supporter of this work, as it benefits you and unlocks things for you that you can unlock no other way. Abundance, health, and prosperity to you.